Hello and welcome back to this tutorial. In our previous video, we were able to create this UI for our mini tax management project. So in this video, we are going to be styling this UI, okay? And like we have seen in the previous part of the tutorial, we are just going to create a style object and we are going to set it to ttk.style. Yeah, and we are going to just close this so we can start using this style objects to configure our UI. So the next thing I would like to talk about is that this TTK has some built-in themes. All right, so and that is basically what the UI is supposed to look like. Is it going to look modern? Is it going to look a bit old? Or is it going to look like have the types of widgets that the old Windows 7, Windows XP has? So I am going to set a theme for this particular project. So I'm going to say style dot theme use. So I'm going to try out some certain themes. So I am going to try to use clam. So this is by far the most modern one. So if I run this, all right, so this is supposed to be clam, not clams. So if I run this, we have, well, a little bit of styling here. So you can see the buttons are changing and they are becoming a bit more stable. So I can use another one called alt. It's like alternative. So if we run that again, we have this button looking somehow more solid, right? It was looking like the Tkinter button, the default Tkinter button that we saw earlier. So you can decide to leave it as whatever you want. So there are other ones like visitor, like default. So we can try to use default as well. And we run this and we have that. Well, it looks beautiful though. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is to start configuring our UI, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is to configure the entire UI. So I'm going to say style.configure. So for this one, I'm going to pass in dots. So it's like I'm not calling a particular class now. I want the entire UI to look this way. All right. So I am going to pass in background. So I believe we have seen this before, and I'm going to pass in background. And I will set it to a string of a particular color code. So I will type in this hexadecimal figure for a slightly dark color. So I'm going to pass in the hexadecimal value, and that is hash 1e 1e 1e. All right. So and the next thing I'm going to give it is a foreground color. So I will also just align this properly. So I'll give it a foreground color. And I'll set it to maybe white. So white is white. And I'm going to give it a font. So we have a default font for all of them so that even when a font style is not set for that particular widget, then it will have the font of the entire UI. So and I'm going to call it, well, we've been using Calibre, so I'm going to pass in Calibre again, and I'm going to give it give all a different font size of 12. So if we run this for now, we should see some changes on our UI. So I'm going to close this and run. So you can see that the entire UI is now dark. All right, so the entire UI is now dark. So the next thing that I'm going to style is the title, that is the label. So So this title here, I'm going to style it a bit. So I'm going to pass in style dot configure, then I'll pass in the class. So this time I'm passing in title dot t label, and I'm going to give it a font. I'm going to give it a font of, well, like we've been doing before. I'll just repeat it, Calibre. But I want to add a little bit of variance to this. So I'm going to give it a font size of 12, but I'm going to make it bold. So if we run this now, we have this slightly change. So we have this slight change in our text. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to configure the buttons. So I'll write style dot configure, and I'm going to pass in task dot t button, okay, and I'm going to give it, well, we already have some paddings in the button, so but I'm now going to give it an all-round padding. So I'm going to say padding, I'm going to set it to 8 in pixels, and I'm going to give it a background. And I'm going to set it to a hexadecimal value, and it's going to be hash 2EA043. And I'm going to give it a foreground color, and I'm going to set it to white. Okay, so we can as well align this so that it will look neat, and that as well. So I am also going to go to the buttons and add this class there. So I'll just copy it as a string and add the styles in the buttons. So I am going to say that the style here is that, and for the second button, the style there is that as well. Okay, so if I run this, all right, so I forgot my commas, and if I run this, okay, so we are having this error. We kind of misspelled the button, and so, and it's supposed to be butn and not button. So let's look at our buttons, and yeah, and also we have one for this label here, and I'm going to pass in the so we have one for this label here. So I'm going to get the class for that, style class for that label, and I'm going to copy it and paste here. So the style here is going to be this. So we enclose this in a string quote. So if I clear this and run this now, we should have some changes. So we have these buttons looking new, and also that. So the next thing that I will do is to style the entry field. So we are going to style the entry field. We have style dot configure, and we pass in the entry field. And we pass in the start class for the entry field. So we have the custom class, the custom dot t entry, right? And we are going to pass in a few style for this class, and we are going to give it a foreground color, and we are going to set it to black. So we want the text to be black, and we are going to give it a filled background color of white. So I'm going to hit enter again. So I'm going to say filled background color, and I'll set it to white. Then I'll give it the normal background color of white, and I'm going to give it insert color of black. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is to call the map function, so that the active classes, when I hover on these buttons, then the classes, the colors will not be white. All right, so I am going to do something like style.map, and I'm going to map it to this text button. So I'm going to call it, so I'm going to map it to the text. So I'm going to type in the text button. So I'm going to type in the text button. So we have the .t button. So we are going to have background when the button is active. So I'm going to pass in background. So I'll set it to a list. So I'll pass in something for the active class, and I'll group it. So I'll just say active, and I'll pass in a lighter version of that green, so that when the when I hover on the button, then it's going to be a bit greener, a bit lighter. There will be a color change, but not white. So I'm going to pass in the hexadecimal code for that color. So I'll have my hash, and I have the color 48cc60. All right, so 48CC60. So I am going to save this and run. All right, so I forgot to add my comma here, so Python is complaining, and this should work better now. So this is a tax management UI. So I'm going to add some tags here. So I'm going to say tax 1 and I'll click add. So I'm going to add another task 2, and I'll click on add. So if I want to delete anyone, I'll just click on it and delete. So that is our tax management application. And I believe that from this, you have had a basic knowledge of how to use the Tkinter framework to create a graphical user interface for your window. So thank you so much for staying with me on this journey. And with this, we have come to the end of the tutorial part. In the next section, we are going to build about 2 major applications to cap up this entire lecture. So thank you so much for being here, and see you in the next one.